And back at home, several dozen people spent the afternoon braving the frigid temperatures for a polar plunge in Sleepy Hollow. Now, guys, it was for a good cause. Well, it better be. It was freezing outside. News 12's Eric Feldman has the story.
I'm going in! Yeah!
You may wonder why all these people would willingly do this. Feel that. Just weeks after surgery for Matthew Galata, he didn't think twice about going in the Hudson. The answer is actually quite simple: to raise money.
We have hardships going on throughout the year all over Westchester County. We need people to, come together.
That's what Galata says is the whole point to his foundation, Galata House. Whoever needs help in Westchester County, they're that hand for support.
Rise for my Aunt Valerie Sonato!
Let's go!
Last year, some of that money went to Rich Sonato's aunt, who died last year from cancer. He came in from Florida just to do the plunge.
Just happy to come out and support Matt and his awesome cause.
So about 50 people dealing with a shot of pain raised more than 20 grand for Galata House to help people dealing with pain that lingers far longer.
I think it's amazing. It's awesome.
Galata says thousands will be able to get free hot meals from this money. Students will get scholarships to pursue their dreams that may have otherwise been out of reach.
The thrill is having people say thank you.
And we saw that today because Matt started cutting checks.
Here's a check for $500 to help your initiative.
$2,000.
$500 for her scholarship, buy some books, get ready for college.
And it's all because a bunch of people came together on a Saturday morning to get a little cold so they could create far more warmth for Westchester. In Sleepy Hollow, Eric Feldman, News 12.
That is simply fantastic. I know Matt, he is truly the people's champion. Now, if you want to donate, you still can. We have all the information about the Galata House on our website. That is news12.com.
Culture.
Hi, News 12. I just won The Voice.
Community.
The first shot went into the arm of Port Washington nurse Sandra Lindsay.
Connections.
Seems like so much fun.
It was pretty hectic.
Discover News 12 New York.
Hey, look, we're happy, right?
A new way to see the best of News 12's local channels from across the tri-state area, all in one place. Now streaming 24/7 on your favorite devices. Discover News 12 New York today.
This is Our Lives. I'm Gwen Edwards. In the rush to find a cure for COVID, are we overlooking a possible more natural cure like vitamin D? Dr. Leslie Ray Matthews joins me now. And thank you so much, Dr. Matthews, for being on Our Lives. And you say massive high doses of vitamin D could really help in this fight.
Yes, it could. Thank you for having me. Vitamin D, first of all, is a hormone. It's not a vitamin. It was discovered 100 years ago, and they had vitamin A, B, and C, and they just named the next substance that they found vitamin D. So what hormone D does, a hormone is a substance that interacts in your blood system, and it affects multiple systems in your body. One of the most important effects of vitamin D, other than bones, making your bones strong, is it strengthens your immune system, or it increases your white blood cell count. There are 30,000 genes in the human body. Vitamin D controls 3,000 out of those 30,000 genes, or 10% of your DNA gene expression. So imagine if you learn how to manipulate that, or you understand the biochemistry of hormone D. Imagine the many different things you can do. So as a trauma critical care surgeon, two things that surgeons face, or two things that cause surgeons problems, are bleeding, clotting problems, and infections. So we have to become experts in infections. So hormone D is relatively cheap. You can go to Walmart or anywhere else and buy it, $15, $20. So what it does is it increases a white blood cell count. In science, we have a thing, it's called the CD4 cell, which is just a fancy term for white blood cells. So white blood cells is what basically fight the bacteria, the virus, the fungus, and the parasitic infection, and it does cancer surveillance also. So if you increase your white blood cell count and have a strong immune system, you can basically fight off anything.
What research do you have to back that up?
A level 1 trauma center, one of the busiest ones in the country. So we had a lot of experience with a lot of patients working with vitamin D. So I researched vitamin D over the last 15 years.
Why do you believe the majority community in the medical field does not embrace this as a natural remedy to COVID?
Well, that's a great question. I'm glad you asked that. First of all, in medicine, anything that you come out with is novel, new, even if it's 100% true, it takes an average of 13 years for something to become the standard of care in medicine. So we have a saying, the only people that like changes are babies, and so like their diapers change and stuff. So even when it's 100% true, like I said, doctors take an average of 13 years. And secondly, biochemistry is one of the hardest courses in medical school, and I was a chemistry biochem expert, so I understand things from a chemical level. So I view the body as a big chemical factory.
All right, well, Dr. Matthews, thank you very much for bringing this to light.
Million. That's how many meals Food Rescue US has delivered since the start of the pandemic. And now volunteers are at it again in Stamford with help from the food bank of Lower Fairfield County. News 12 Connecticut's Justin DeVellis was there.
Want me to pass it through this way to you? You want a different pair of gloves?
I have the day off from my job, so it's a perfect opportunity to be here.
Volunteers are the backbone of what has carried America forward for so many years.
1,300 USDA food boxes.
Fresh produce and meats and essentially groceries for a family of 4.
All going out to 25 different local agencies.
Not wasting food has always been really important to me.
Nearly 40,000 pounds of food going directly to those needing it most.
This food is so necessary, and it really is necessary, and it's going to continue to be necessary for a long time to come.
Close to 100,000 people in Fairfield County considered food insecure before the pandemic.
1, 2, 3.
And as you can imagine, that number continues rising.
Hunger is in every neighborhood, in every community. It's not reserved for a specific part of the world by any means.
Individually and separately, we can't do what we can do together. When we collaborate, it's a great thing.
In Stamford, I'm Justin DeVellis, News 12 Connecticut.
Well, organizers would like to thank Tawa Restaurant for allowing them to use their parking lot for Monday's event.
So if your kids are off from school and you're looking for something fun and delicious,
and family friendly, and even a little bit fancy, Polly Talbot from A La Carte has a great idea. So what are you cooking, Polly?
Today I'm going to show you something from my new program that I'm calling Child Lingo, and it's a virtual culinary classroom. And today we're going to be in France, and I'm going to make gougères, which are little French cheese puffs. And what you need is flour, butter, salt, and you're going to have 4 eggs, some cheese, and a little cayenne pepper.
Okay, so what's step 1?
I have water, butter, and a little salt I'm putting in, and I'm going to bring that to a boil. Okay, now there's a real boil. You see how the bubbles are breaking the surface. Then we're going to add our flour all at once, and we're going to stir. Now you can see how you get the film on the bottom of the pan. I'm going to turn it off, and now we're going to stir it until the steaming stops. We're going to start adding the eggs one at a time. You just want to make sure you do stir it until the steaming stops. And then we're ready to add our cheese. And then at this point, when you add your cheese, you're only going to add half the cheese.
Do we then bake it?
Yes, we're going to bake it. We're going to put it on a cookie sheet, similar to what how you would do drop cookies. I'll show you that. We're going to put all these on here, and then you're going to put some of that cheese on top. Okay, after they've been baking for about 10 minutes, you're going to turn down the oven, and then you're going to complete the baking. You're going to turn it down to 50 degrees, and then once they're finished, you're going to open it back up, and you're going to take them, and you're going to turn off your oven, and you're going to pierce them on the side.
Fantastic, and we're going to make sure we put the recipe up on news12.com. Thank you, Polly.
Send some over here, Polly.
You're watching News 12. I'm Ian Page. The murder of a Suffolk narcotics detective has gone unsolved for more than 3 decades. But police believe someone out there has information, and they're hoping an increased reward will help prompt them to come forward. Our Danielle Campbell has the latest.
With no leads, no arrests for more than 3 decades, the Wustinoff family, despite their heartache, never gave up on their promise to seek justice for the murder of their father, Suffolk detective Dennis Wustinoff.
It comes down to one thing: there is still a killer walking around out there free.
Today, the Suffolk PBA, along with the Suffolk Detectives Association, unveiled this traveling billboard seeking information leading to the arrest of the person or persons responsible for the death of Detective Dennis Wustinoff 31 years ago.
I can't imagine the pain and suffering
that this family has gone through.
On February 15th, 1990, the undercover narcotic detective was headed to work when a sophisticated pipe bomb exploded under the driver's seat of his white Cadillac parked in front of his North Patchogue home. Despite 31 years, Wustenhoff's children, Kevin, Jennifer, and Melissa, have vowed to catch his killer.
For us, it's our dad. It's our lifeline. It's our blood. And we still hurt. So we're not going to stop.
According to the Suffolk PBA, the billboard on wheels will be traveling across Long Island for the next 2 weeks, and a reward for information leading to an arrest has been increased to $50,000.
It reaches people. It doesn't matter if you live off of Everett Street in North Patchogue or you live off of Roth Road in Seaford. Eventually, you're going to see this sign. It's going to remind you of what's important, and it's catching a killer.
It was 1 year ago today. Melissa Wustenhoff launched a Facebook page seeking justice for her father's murder. She was frustrated by 3 decades of his case going unsolved.
We're not giving up until that person is brought to justice.
Since launching the Facebook page, Suffolk County law enforcement has announced they will re-examine the evidence with new technology and have classified the murder case a top priority.
We have that little bit of our dad in us, and we're not going anywhere. We're going to be fighting for him forever.
Danielle Campbell, News 12, Long Island.
Anyone with information on the murder of Dennis Wustenhoff can contact Suffolk County Crime Stoppers at the number you see on your screen, 1-800-220-TIPS.
Well, in an effort to boost confidence among those living in Newark, several black clergy leaders received their COVID-19 vaccination today. News 12 New Jersey's Chris Keating reports from Martin Luther King Boulevard.
Ready? 10 church leaders lined up and rolled up their sleeves inside Metropolitan Baptist Church in Newark. They were injected with the COVID-19 vaccine, all in agreement with their stated mission.
And we need to make sure that people are getting vaccinated.
Reverend David Jefferson is leading the charge to push back against the myths or doubts surrounding the vaccine within this community, or the lies on social media keeping people in minority neighborhoods from getting the vaccine. Pastor Max Johnson will readily admit he initially wanted no part of it.
You hear about all these side effects. Somebody on TV took this shot and right there went into convulsions. After I know that Pastor Wilkes took this shot, I prayed and I said, I'm going to take the shot too. That's why I'm here.
Statewide, among those who've taken the shot, 4% are black, 5% Latino, and 6% Asian. Clergy members want to boost those numbers. So on Wednesdays, vaccines will be offered at Metropolitan Baptist. Shabazz High School will offer vaccination on Thursday and Friday, and on Monday and Tuesday, Eastside High is hosting. It's a program run by St. James Health, which has already vaccinated over 1,200 people in the city, and they've already been working to gain trust and educate through their testing program.
So when we go into senior housing, and we've been testing those same seniors since June, we're sending our same staff there because they know our staff.
Much of this effort depends on supply. St. James will have 300 more doses delivered tomorrow, but clergy are demanding even more from the state. As they wait, clergy will continue their mission.
To inform, to educate, and to help people to understand the need for them to take the vaccine and to calm some of the fears around them, quote, taking it.
In Newark, I'm Chris Keating, News 12 New Jersey.
Chris, thank you. The program is only open to Newark residents. So if you're interested, you'll need to set up an appointment through St. James Health. They are already 1,000 people registered so far, and they're waiting. The longest running film festivals in New Jersey will be virtual this year. News 12 New Jersey's John Bathke with how the movies will be coming to audiences at home in his continuing coverage of the pandemic's impact on entertainment.
The pandemic put this dance film into motion.
We're in saran wrap. Like, it's not something that you're going to see on the street, but it's this feeling of being like trapped, and like maybe it's just trapped behind a mask.
Sisters Ariel and Charlie Santagato are New Jersey-based dancers and choreographers who produced this experimental 5-minute film called De-Eschatology, shot early in the pandemic in a deserted parking deck.
Feels like the world has ended with COVID and everything closed. And then there's this idea of
coming back together into this new normal.
Theirs is one of 100 short films that will begin virtual screenings on Saturday in the Thomas Edison Film Festival.
There's not a spot on Netflix for experimental work, but we give voice to those filmmakers because the work is really extraordinary and important.
Jane Stuerwald is the festival's executive director and says its commitment to short experimental work, seldom seen elsewhere, makes it stand out. Now in its 40th year, the festival has a new name, formerly called the Black Maria Festival, named after Thomas Edison's film production studio of the 1890s in West Orange, where the earliest films were made. While based in Hoboken, the festival travels nationally, but not this year. With the pandemic leaving movie theaters with limited capacity, the short films will instead come to the audience at home. John Bathke, News 12, New Jersey.
Very creative. The movies will be streamed free of charge on the festival's website, along with special programming.
And as we celebrate Black History Month, the Bronx African American History Project has been documenting the Bronx's complex and untold story for the last 19 years. News 12's Marissa Marcelino with more.
It's an amazing portrait of the resilience of the Bronx over really the last 80 years.
The longtime Fordham professor set out to tell the stories of the over 500,000 people of African descent in the Bronx, which he says hadn't been told.
People of different backgrounds are living together. You can hear everybody's arguments, you can smell their food, and you can hear their music.
The fusion of culture and people brought together by close-quartered apartment living has been told so far in over 400 digitally archived interviews, available for anyone to listen to online.
The Bronx is a model when you bring together people of different cultures and backgrounds and they work together. Look what they can accomplish.
He says he set out to correct the stereotypes of the Bronx. Instead of being known for the fires of the 70s and the crack epidemic of the 80s, he is showing the rest of the timeline.
In the 40s, 50s, and early 60s, the Bronx produced more varieties of popular music than any place in the country.
Dr. Neeson says Morsanio was the center for doo-wop and jazz, and a plaque here now honors those musicians. The project also highlights African immigrants and their impact on education and culture in the Bronx.
They tend to incorporate some of the American cultural practices and also maintaining some of their own practices that they brought with them.
Continuing their research, they've also launched the Bronx COVID-19 Oral History Project, which documents how residents were affected by the pandemic. For more information, head to news12.com and click on numbers and links. Marissa Marcelino, News 12.
6-year-old boy with cerebral palsy from the Bronx is currently in Harlem in a hospital after being stabbed 5 times earlier this month. His 29-year-old father, Tyree Scott, was taken into custody, now facing a slew of charges, including attempted murder and assault. A nonprofit is stepping up to raise money for the boy, telling News 12's Shosh Bedrosian they want to give him a better life.
What he's been through is more than most people have ever endured in their entire life.
6-year-old Zahir Scott faced with challenges from the start, but manages to be filled with life.
He's the sweetest kid. He's very soft and gentle. He doesn't communicate.
Eric Weingrad, founder of Holton's Heroes, a nonprofit helping pediatric brain injury survivors, met Zahir and his father Tyree back in 2019 after hearing his story of overcoming homelessness and raising his disabled son.
He was a pleasure. He was really a gentle guy, Tyree, and soft-spoken and really caring, and I was blown away.
But that all changed when Scott was arrested for attempted murder, assault, and other charges after police say he was holding Zahir and a 16-year-old girl against their will in a home in Longwood. And Weingrad knew his nonprofit had to step in.
Zahir needs a new family. Zahir needs a new start at life. outside of his environment.
Weingrad took Zahir's needs to GoFundMe, surpassing $14,000 in just 7 days. And with close to 250 donors, it's securing the money for when Zahir finds a forever home.
We're not interested in giving it to the state or handing it over to a foster family, but if he finds his forever home, we want to help that family remodel a bathroom, add entry ramps, buy equipment. The list is endless.
Zahir now alone in the hospital with a feeding tube. The nonprofit says finding him a loving home is their goal.
We need to find him a new family, someone to make him understand that he is important and loved and special and deserves the best.
Shosh Bedrosian, News 12.
Such a touching story, and if you're interested in helping out too, find out how to do that by heading to our website, news12.com.
And one local business is getting an extra boost amid the pandemic, and it's coming from none other than Beyonce. Queen Bee's nonprofit Be Good, along with the NAACP, have been giving out grants to Black-owned small businesses. One of the latest recipients is the Tea Experience in Pelham. The owner, Leslie Alex, was given $10,000 for a business. She says she feels blessed to have received the grant.
Hoping to get a COVID-19 vaccine appointment, millions of New Yorkers with underlying conditions are now eligible. But so far, the website to sign up is struggling to keep up with that crush of demand. We turn to Tara now for some tips on how to increase your odds.
I have hypertension and diabetes.
Inside his Yonkers home,
I say yes for comorbidity.
Peter Romano clicks away,
It tells me I'm eligible.
hoping for a potentially life-saving opportunity.
If I go to the bottom, click on Get Started.
He's been waiting nearly a year for.
I know what it's going to tell me anyway because I've already seen it.
This week, New York State finally rolled out eligibility for millions of patients just like him with pre-existing conditions.
I don't want New Yorkers to think that we are not doing everything we can to make them eligible for the vaccine.
There's only one problem.
And the answer is no appointments are available.
Try landing an appointment.
So I'm going to have to bang the computer every day, and nobody knows how long that's going to be.
Similar frustration is also being felt in New Jersey, where vaccine access expanded to the immunocompromised back in January. A month later, there are still hundreds of thousands of high-risk patients in the Garden State jockeying for a first dose.
It was a punch in the face.
Governor Cuomo acknowledges we could see the same bottleneck here at home as 11 or so million New Yorkers attempt to chase only 300,000 weekly doses of the vaccine. At that rate, extending the logjam well into the summer. So what can you do to try and move up the line?
My team discovered a few tips. Even if the state website says there are no appointments available, you can still click Get Started, enter your information, and move on to Locate the Providers section, which you can revisit throughout the day. A good time to log on is between 3:30 and 4:30. Two medical doctors tell me that's the time some sites start releasing appointments when there are no-shows or extra doses on hand. The only catch is you'll only have about an hour or two and get vaccinated that same day. In addition to the state mega sites, doses are also being shipped directly to pharmacies, so reach out directly to the ones in your neighborhood if you're over age 65. You can also sign up for email alerts from some of them. Another tip, several counties have started wait lists, so you can sign up with them directly and they'll email you if any appointments open up last minute.
Remember, you'll still need to have a doctor's letter or proper documentation proving your underlying condition.
I would like to be able to get my life back to normal.
And so Peter continues to plug away online, waiting for a lucky break.
We should have a system that manages all of this better.
Tara Rosenblum.
Here we go. Ready?
News 12.
All right, another thing you might want to try and do is different browsers when you're searching for an appointment. Also be sure to have your driver's license and insurance card handy so you don't time out of the session. All right, we'd like to know how the process is working for you. Share your story with Tara by heading to our website, news12.com, and click on the Turn to Tara tab. This week, the village of Haverstraw will finally...
Culture.
Hi, News 12. I just won The Voice.
Community.
The first shot went into the arm of Port Washington nurse Sandra Lindsay.
Connections.
Seems like so much fun.
It was pretty hectic. Discover News 12 New York.
Hey, look, we're happy, right?
A new way to see the best of News 12's local channels from across the tri-state area, all in one place. Now streaming 24/7 on your favorite devices. Discover News 12 New York today.